Here we start question 1. The first question says, which one of the following values shows perfect price inelasticity of supply? When we talk about inelasticity, it means there's no significant change in the quantity demanded as a result of a change in price. Please listen to what inelasticity is. Inelasticity means there's no significant change in the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in the price of the product. When we talk about price elasticity of demand. So there's perfectly inelastic and there's an inelastic. It is when it is less than 1, it is inelastic. But when it is 0, it is perfectly inelastic. So the answer is D. I think that D, yes. Just put that. Don't do anything about the paper. Yes. Just listen to this. Then go to question B. Question B says, a firm has a total cost of $1,250,000 per month and the variable cost of $100 per unit. If it produces 5,000 units, calculate the total fixed cost per month. The first thing you have to take note is the formula for total cost. Your total cost is FC, TC equals to FC plus VC. Are you with me? Yes. So if TC is FC plus VC, we have our TC to be 1,250,000 equals to FC, we don't know, we are looking for FC, plus VC, which is the variable cost. Remember we said variable cost are costs that increases as output increases. So whenever we have to deal with variable cost, we have to deal with the unit produced. So we have the amount of the units to be $100 per unit, then multiplied by the total unit produced. That's 100 multiplied by 5,000, which is 500,000. So we have 1,250,000 equals to FC plus 500,000. We make FC the subject of the formula. So FC will be 1,250,000 minus 500,000. So the answer is 750. Is it clear? So the answer is B. The answer is D. We go to C. They said, what is meant by the term supply? Supply is the quantity of goods or services firms or producers are willing to produce at a given price and time. Is that clear? We go on. D. Yeah. Willing and able to produce. When you produce yourself, it's yourself. There's no D. There's D. If it's not there, it's not your move on, please. So go to question D. They said, state one example of an occupation that is in the secondary sector of the economy. Before we go to that question, before we go into the question, what is occupation? Occupation is any productive activity which a person engages himself permanently to save his productivity time. Whatever you do to save your productive time, it's what we call occupation. So another name for occupation is job. Your job, it's your occupation. Do you get my point here? I'm trying to define because they might ask you in the exam, what is occupation? Not these exams, but the subsequent one, they might be asking you. You have to know what occupation is. Any productive activity which a person engages himself permanently to save its productivity time. That is what occupation is. Okay. Then, now back to the question. They said we should give an example of a job in the secondary sector. Remember what we talked when we talk about the secondary sector. The secondary sector deals with the conversion of raw materials into finished products. The conversion of raw materials into finished products is in the secondary sector. So example of firms or businesses in the secondary sector are construction companies, the baking industry, it's in the secondary sector, shipbuilding, computer assembly, car production, they are all in the secondary sector. Is it clear? Then we go on to E. Are you there? He said, define the term labor. When we talk about labor, we're talking about workers. And remember in economy, we said labor is the human and physical effort that is put into the production of goods and services. Labor is what? Both human effort, that means human effort, either physically or mentally, that helps in the production of goods and services. That is what labor is. Is it clear? Great. We go to F. It said calculate the income elasticity of demand for a good of income, if income increases by 25% and quantity demanded increases by 10%. You are advised to show your workings. Before we go into that question, What is income elasticity? Income elasticity is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in the level of income. The degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded for a product as a result of a change in the level of income. That is income elasticity. So the formula for income elasticity is percentage change in the quantity demanded over percentage change in income. Are you with me? Okay, so we say YED is percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. Here they said we have the income increases by 25%. That means there is 100% somewhere. So in mathematics, when they talk about percentage increase, it means 100% plus that increase. And if it is percentage decrease, it is 100% minus that increase. So here our Q1 will be 100, Y1 will be 100. Q2 will be 110 because 100 plus 10 gives us 110. Then Y2 will be 100 plus 25, which is 125. Are you with me, guys? So we have 110 minus 100 divided by 100 divided by 125 minus 100 over 100. So then we have 10 divided by 100 divided by 25 over 100. When you reciprocate, it will be 10 over 100 multiplied by 100 over 25. 100 has cancelled 100. We have 100 divided by 25. 100 divided by 25 gives us 0.4 here. 10 divided by 25, yes. 10 divided by 25, 0.4. That's how we got our 0.4. Percentage change in the quantity demanded over percentage change in price. That's the formula for YED. Do you have any questions about that? No. Shall we move on? Can we continue, please? Yeah. Okay. Now to G. Here they say, using the diagram below, draw the likely effects of an increase in income on the equilibrium price and quantity of wireless headphones. Label the new curve, the new equilibrium price and quantity. Before we go into this, they said there's an increase in the level of income. An increase in the level of income will increase the quantity demanded of products. If the amount of money you make increases, that means your disposable income will increase. And when your disposable income increases, it means you are buying more than what you used to buy. So an increase in your level of income will increase the quantity demanded of wireless headphones. Do you get the point here? So our new graph will be a rightward shift from D to D1. From D to what? D1. There's going to be a rightward shift. The demand curve will shift rightward from D to D1. At the same time, the quantity demanded in the market will shift rightward or will increase from QE to Q1 to the right. Then the price, as a result of continuous increase in the quantity demanded, the price will rise from PE1 to PE to P1. So the new equilibrium price will be at P1. The new equilibrium quantity will be at Q1 to the right, and the new the market clearing price will be at D1. So we have P1, D1, Q1 to the right, upward. And yeah, yes, please. I'll check later anyway. So I think that you have a question. You have a question. Is it clear, please? Then we'll go on. They said the government of a country has decided to build a new hospital. Explain one possible opportunity cost for the government of this decision. The first thing you have to do is to define what opportunity cost is. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative for gone. The next best alternative for gone. So that is what opportunity cost is. So if government of this country has decided to build a new hospital, it might mean that a new school will not be able to be built. So the opportunity cost would be what? The new school that won't be built. Yeah. Is it clear? Yes. So that is the question. You define what opportunity cost is and you relate it to the case study. Then we go on to McAfee. Yes, please.
Isn't it a new hospital?
No.
It says a new hospital.
That is what was built. The opportunity cost will be a new school that won't be built, or the new road that won't be constructed, or the new bridge that won't be constructed. Because we said the opportunity cost is what the next best alternative that is feasible as a result of you making a choice. Is it clear, please? Now we have this case study. Please read the case study for the Gawasi. McAfee. With volume, please, or the audible, more audible. Up to a maximum of $1,000 per person. So McAfee is trying to come up with being social responsible here. That is charity. McAfee is a business enterprise which deals with computer, I think software, whatever it is. But the point here is that McAfee is thinking about helping the society rather than maximizing profit. Do you get the point here? McAfee is trying to help the society. It's trying to help do charity. Charity means, you're not expecting a return on whatever you do. So each employee at McAfee, whenever it works for $1, if each employee raises $1, McAfee will join it with $1 to give to charity. So whatever you work for will be given times two to give to charity. So McAfee here is involved in fundraising activity, which is not profit maximization. So what is the question saying? Now they said, with reference to what she just read, they said, use your knowledge of economics, analyze the possible reasons why McAfee chooses not to profit maximize, but instead operates the fundraising match program. The first thing is this. McAfee stopped thinking about profit maximization. McAfee might think about this because it wants to build its reputation in the society. Are you with me, guys? So the first thing I said, McAfee fundraising will mean that the profit it could make reduces. So with this fundraising, McAfee will not be making any profits. The profit it's making will reduce. Yes or no? That's the first point. The second point, McAfee could use such fundraising practice to improve its reputation, like I said. When you do fundraising, when you do charity, it's like giving yourself a good name in the face of the society. That means your reputation can be built. And if McAfee is able to build its reputation, it might mean that a lot of customers will start using McAfee. Do you get it? They might start using McAfee computer software instead of using those of its competitors. Those are the reasons why McAfee might be going into fundraising activity rather than making profits. And lastly, they said McAfee has made $2.5 billion in terms of revenue. So doing charity like this might not have any impact or effect in McAfee's sales or profit. Is it clear? Do you get the point now? The first thing we talked about is that profit will reduce for McAfee. And the second point is it's going to improve the reputation of McAfee, which means if your reputation improves, customers might start buying from you more than your competitors. And as a result, you can increase your sales. Also, McAfee might not need to profit maximize anymore because it's already made over $2.5 billion in revenue, which means McAfee is doing well already. So that amount of money spent on charity is not going to have any effect on McAfee cash flow. Is it clear? Great. Then we'll go to question 2. Do you have any question about question 1? Clear, right? All right. We go to question 2. Now look at question 2. It said, which one of the following diagram? Okay, I have to expand it. Okay, it's fine now. It said, which one of the following diagrams shows excess demand? When we talk about excess demand, it means the quantity demanded in the market is more than the quantity supplied. And the only time we could have an excess demand is when the price falls below the equilibrium price. Please take note of what I just said now. We have excess demand, we have excess supply. What are the conditions that will warrant excess demand? Excess demand is as a result of a fall in the price of a product below the equilibrium price. What is the equilibrium price? The equilibrium price is the price of agreement between the quantity demanded of the product and the quantity supplied. So whenever the price falls below the equilibrium price, it's going to lead to what? Excess demand. Price above the equilibrium price will lead to excess supply. So look at what we have in the graph. We have below the equilibrium price at P1, above the equilibrium price at P1 for C, nothing for B, and nothing for D. So the answer is what? The answer is A. Yeah. Price below, any price below the equilibrium price. From QE to Q2. Within that range, Q1 to Q2, that's the equilibrium price. That's the excess demand. Above it is excess supply. Is it clear, please? Go on. All right. B, it said land can be described as which one of the following? Before we go into the options, land is a factor of production and it is fixed in nature. Please put that in your mind. The question in the exam might not be coming as this, but another question that could come about land is explain land, define land. Land is what? Fixed in nature. It is not mobile. The reward for land is rent. Do you understand? So when they ask you in the exam to define land or to explain land, these are what you have to say. Land is a factor of production, which is not what? Mobile, and it is fixed in nature. The reward for land is rent. These are what you have to put into writing. Is it clear? So we'll go back to the question. They said, land can be described as which one of the following? These economies of scale. We talked about this economy of scale. An increase in your average cost as a result of expansion. So it is not land. We talked about factor of production. We said all resources that are put together to help in the production of goods and services, which land is part of. So let's check C, variable costs. These are costs that increases as output increases. It's not C. The market failure. What is market failure? When your social cost exceeds your social benefits. I'm giving you different meanings of all these things because one of them might even come in the exams. Market failure is what? When your social cost exceeds your social benefit. So the answer is what? B. Is it clear? B, yeah. Is it clear, please?
Yes.
We move on. Question C. He said, state profits. State the formula for profit. Remember we said profit is what? Total revenue minus your total cost. Total revenue minus total cost. That means profit is TR minus TC. Is it clear? We move on. We go to D. For question D, they said, calculate the price elasticity of supply for a product when price increases by 30% and the quantity supplied increases by 36%. You're advised to show your working. Before we go to the workings now, what is price elasticity of supply? Price elasticity of supply is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity supplied of a product as a result of a change in price. Is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity supplied of a product as a result of a change in price. That is PES. The formula for PES is percentage change in the quantity supplied over percentage change in price. PES is Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 over P1. So what we have here, we have the percentage change already, which is for price, we have 30%. And for quantity, we have 36%. So it's going to be 36 divided by 30, then you get 1.2. And 1.2 is elastic. Thank you. We move on. Go to E. They said, what is finance? I talked about finance some few lessons back, yes or no? And finance is coming out today. So finance is what? The disbursement of fund for businesses. The disbursement of fund or cash for businesses, for companies, for a project. Is it clear? The disbursement, that means you are taking cash from where you have it so much to where you don't have it and need it. Is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Great. The Irish, please read for me. Listen.
The Irish Edexcel charcoal company IACC is the only firm producing charcoal and iron. Damaged trees, which would otherwise have been left to rot, are used to produce non-raw tissue.
Thank you. So IACC is a charcoal company. You know what charcoal is, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we don't dwell much on that. So they said, describe the type of market structure in which the Irish artisan charcoal company operates. It's the only firm producing, right? And when we talk about the only firm producing, we're talking about what? Monopoly. When you have one firm producing within an economy, it means it's a monopoly. So that's the only firm producing charcoal in the whole of Ireland. So that means IACC is what? A monopoly. So the answer is that IACC is a monopoly because it's the only company producing charcoal in the whole of Ireland. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? Yeah. We move on. Now, G. It says street lighting is considered to be a public good. Listen. Most of the exams, you're going to see free rider problems. You're going to see public goods. You're going to see private goods, possibly. So here they said street lighting. Street light in the streets is considered to be a public good. Explain one reason why this will cause a free rider problem. Before we go into the free rider problem, what is a public good? A public good is a good that is non-excludable and non-rivalrous. Non-excludable, non-rivalrous. Why do we call it non-excludable? It is considered non-excludable because your consumption does not stop my consumption. If consumption does not stop your consumption, it's for everyone. I think we understand what a public good is now. A public good is what? A good that is available for all. It's non-excludable, non-rivalrous. So that's about public good. Now, what is a free rider? A free rider is that individual who gets a benefit that he or she is not paying for. Do you understand? The product is made available. You are a free rider because you did not pay for the product. Someone else paid for it. So those that are benefiting from a production that they did not directly pay for or indirectly paid for, they are called free riders. Is that clear? Great. The problem about free rider is that most of the time in the market system, you know what the market system is? Yeah, in the market system, because they think about profit maximization, they cannot sell things for free. I get to the point here. So in the free market, goods and services are purchased. You have to pay for them. So you can never get something for free in the free market. So most of the time, some things are essential to our living. Government would take charge of those things because of free rider problem. Businesses can produce them, but they don't want to produce them because they cannot maximize profit. So government takes charge of these goods. So we call them public goods. So for street lights is considered as a public good because it is what? Non-excludable. So passers-by, that means anybody that walks through the street or anyone that drives through the street would enjoy the street light, irrespective of if that person is paying or not. Is it clear? Do you have any questions about free rider problem? So the free rider problem is that some of those people that uses the street light don't pay for the street light. Clear? Is it clear, guys? All right, we move on. What's the name? Justin. Please read for me.
One of Watts is a small UK-based firm that produces candles. The candles are environmentally friendly because they are handmade with soy wax and pure essential oils. This is instead of harmful paraffin wax, which produces toxins when burned. Edexcel set up the business because she wanted to help the environment. She was surprised that when a large firm made a contact offering its facilities to increase production. The Felix was prepared to share the profits.
Thank you. So this is a small business. It produces candles with wax. Okay. So we don't dwell on that. They said with reference to what you read above and your knowledge of economics, assess whether Wonderful Works will have more benefits from remaining a small firm rather than becoming a large firm. So let's talk about what Wonderful Works is already. Wonderful Works is a small business. Okay, so for a small business, what you have to talk about is the advantages a small business would have being a small business. So let's go back to the case study. They said, Wonderful Works is a small UK-based firm that produces candles. And let's say the candles are handmade. It's handmade, it's handmade. So that means when you use hand to make candles, you definitely are a small business. Because you could use machines to make candles, yes or no? But well, that is not the problem. The problem now we just have to solve this problem. The problem is we should talk about the advantages of Wonderful Wax being a small business. If we want Wonderful Wax to remain a small business. So let's talk about Wonderful Wax remaining a small business. Why it can be a small business. Number one, as a small business, Wonderful Wax might be able to personalize services. That means Wonderful Wax could deal with customers one-on-one. You know, small businesses don't have large numbers of customer base, so they could deal with customers one-on-one. So a small business has an advantage of personalized services. Did you get the first point there? Good. The second point is this: because it's making handmade candles, it can always listen to customer needs. Oh, this is the kind of candle we want. This is the shape of candle we want. It can listen to them and make what they want. So with personalized services, Wonderful Wax can meet up with the needs and wants, or with the demands of customers, which might mean that it's going to have good relationship with its customers, which could increase its customer base and sales revenue. Are you getting it? What do you highlight again? Wonderful Wax, being a small business, will make that it can control its business. You know, when the business becomes bigger, you might not have the ability to control it. You might need more managers. Yes or no? But when your business is small, you can handle it yourself. So these are the advantages of being a small business. But what are the problems Wonderful Wax might face being a small business? Number one, it will not be able to enjoy economies of scale because it's not going to be able to produce at large quantities. It produces little. So Wonderful Wax might not be able to enjoy economies of scale, which means Wonderful Wax might always incur cost, increase in average cost. Yes?
Can you explain economies of scale?
Yeah, economies of scale is a cost reduction as a result of expansion. Average cost reduction as a result of expansion. That is what economies of scale is. When you are able to reduce your average cost of production, that means your total cost divided by output, reduce it because you are expanding. That is economies of scale. Any question again? So the first problem Wonderful Elisa might encounter is that she won't be able to enjoy economies of scale. Is it clear? Another problem she might encounter is that she might not be able to meet up with high demands of customers because she makes handmade, right? But if large quantities are demanded, she might not be able to meet up with customers' requests. Not meeting up with customer requests might mean that you lose customers, which might reduce your revenue. Is it clear? So we talked about yes of it and no of it. That is what we call assess. Is it clear? Shall we move on, guys? Okay. Question 3 now, right?
Yes.
Question 2 is there, right? Okay. Go to question 3. It said, which one of the following is an example of external economies of scale? We said external economy of scale is what? A reduction in the average cost as a result of expansion in the industry. A reduction in the average cost as a result of expansion. Are you there?
Yes.
Page 12. Page 12. Can you find it? Okay. So we said external economies of scale is what? A reduction in the average cost as a result of expansion in the industry. That is external. A reduction in the average cost as a result of your own expansion is internal. So they say, what is external economies of scale? Example here. Bulk buying is the same as purchasing economies of scale. Listen, guys. Bulk buying is the same as purchasing economies of scale, which is internal economy of scale. Skilled labor. Let's forget about skilled labor. I'll come back to that. Bureaucracy. We talked about bureaucracy before now. We said this is a situation whereby public enterprise employs those that are not fit for that position. Is it clear? All right. So that's about that. Then managerial economies of scale. Managerial economies of scale is always as a result of your expansion that allows you to invite skilled workers. Because you are big now, you are able to attract better skilled managers to your organization. Managers want to work with big companies, yes or no? So if you are a small company, you might not be able to attract skilled managers. So your ability to attract skilled managers is because of how big you are. So that is still internal economies of scale. So the only external economies of scale there is what? Skilled labor. And remember in the class, we talked about examples of external economies of scale. We talked about skilled labor. We talked about suppliers, large number of suppliers. Because as soon as the industry is becoming bigger, a lot of suppliers will come into the industry. As soon as the industry is becoming bigger, a lot of skilled labor will be coming into the industry. Is it clear? So the answer is B. Go on to B here. 3B now. They say, which of the following is the main feature of an oligopoly? Oligopoly is a market structure that has few large numbers of businesses controlling the industry. So that is the meaning of oligopoly. Few large businesses controlling the industry. So we have, now we want to talk about the characteristics now. Raising fixed cost, no barriers to entry. There's no barrier to entry. Well, no. There is barrier to entry because the large firms might not allow other businesses to come in. So large firms dominate the market, yes. The answer is C. Few large firms dominating the market. They are supposed to put few, not large firms. It's supposed to be few large firms dominating the industry. So the answer is C. B is C. Is it clear? We go on. Please read for me. What do I have? The next one, an economy.
This economy originally produced a PPC one. Without resource fully made due to
Positive economic growth.
It can now
produce
fully employed.
Using the axis below, draw two for PPC to show an economy moving from PPC 1 to PPC 2. Label both PPC and the axis. So yesterday we did production possibility curve. Remember what production possibility curve is? The maximum of output that a country or an economy can produce when it combines all resources and they are fully utilized. The combination of output that an economy can produce when all resources are fully utilized. That is what production possibility curve is. Now, one of the reasons why there's going to be an outward shift in the production possibility curve is that there is maybe availability of raw materials, there's education and training, we talked about that yesterday. There's positive economic situation. So for positive economic situation, the PPC curve will shift outward from PPC 1 to PPC 2. So we're going to draw the first curve as PPC 1. We label it as PPC 1. Then we draw the second curve and label it as PPC 2 with an arrow to the right. Is it clear? This is what we have. First, write consumer goods or capital goods, consumer goods. Then the first curve, PPC 1. The second curve, PPC 2. And it puts an arrow outward. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? We move on. Technology. Abdurrahman. Hey, it's okay, just for it. Rawati, please read for me. Previously.
This substitution of capital for labor is likely to increase as technology
Advances.
At most all sectors,
Queries. Just say. Automated assistance. Telecom have switched to using calls by these automated assistants. Thank you. So with reference to the data she read and our knowledge of economics, they said we should analyze the demand for labor, how it might affect the use of machine. So the first thing we have to do is what? You define demand for labor. What is demand for labor? Demand for labor is the quantity of workers, the number of workers firms are willing to employ at a given wage rate. That is demand for labor. And as soon as you do that, the next thing you talk about is how does demand for labor affect, how does the use of machine affect the demand for labor? So the next thing you have to talk about, having defined what demand for labor is demand for labor is a derived demand. This is how you make the point. First, you explain what demand for labor is, which I just did. Then the next thing you talk about is demand for labor, or demand for labor is what? A derived demand, which means labor is always demanded. Labor will be employed only when it is needed. Labor will be employed only when it is needed. That's the second point. Now the third point. Here, based on the data, they said machines are going to replace laborers, right? So that means machines are substitutes to labor. That's the third point. Machines are what? Substitutes to labor. So, as businesses or firms find it easier, more efficient to use machines than labor, they will start switching from using labor to machine. So the demand for labor will reduce because machines are doing better than workers. Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear? And the wage rate will fall because demand for labor will reduce. You know that it is only when the demand for labor increases that the wage rate increases. But if at this point in time, machines are replacing labor, which means we don't need more workers, we need machines. So workers, the wage rate will reduce. Do you get it or not?
Yes.
Sure. Right. So that's about the point. What? It's okay. Why did you didn't write it? It is. Yeah, sure. So we'll go to the next one. Listen, read for me, please. No, Malik, please read for me.
There are many reasons for fire to work in space.
Paul Wilson.
Sound along with wide ranging state of
colorful sparks.
I used to celebrate religions,
festivals
and historical
occasions.
As well as bright and public events. Some events charge and intriguing, but people are still able to see and hear the fireworks out without entering the venue.
Former military, thank you. Not well, let me continue from there because of the time. Former military personnel have complained this can bring back negative memories related to war experiences. It can also disturb animals that are frightened by the loud noises. With reference to what he read and with reference to that, we should use our economic knowledge to assess whether fireworks have more negative than positive externalities. So the first thing we need to talk about is to define externalities. What are externalities? The spillover as a result of production or consumption. The spillover effect of production or consumption is what we call externalities. The positive externality is the external benefit. The negative externality is the external cost. I think that is clear. So let's talk about how it has a negative impact to the society, because we don't have much time. So here I wrote, first you have to define externality, which I just did. Then I said, negative externalities occur when a cost imposed on third party by those organizing or paying to attend fireworks displays. What I'm saying is this. Negative externality will start from the use of fireworks. When people pay to watch fireworks or to buy fireworks, which is now bringing different sound that is disturbing the former military people. So it brings them back to bad memory lane of how the war was when they were still at war. Do you get the point here? So another problem about fireworks is that it might occur several times during public parties, private parties, during religious festivals. So that means they might continue to experience this thing all through the year. So these are why it is negative externality. Is it clear? So it could be positive externality. How? I might just be in my house watching it for free and enjoying the view. That is positive externality.
Yes, without paying.
Is it clear? Any question about that? Okay, we move on, right? We move on, right? Question 4. Yeah, they said Veronique owns a shop that makes cakes for special occasions. The cake sells for an average price of 40 euros each. Calculate the quantity of cakes sold by Veronique's shop. When total revenue is 3,600 euros, you're advised to show your working. Well, the first thing you have to do is, what is total revenue? Total revenue is price multiplied by quantity. So you say TR equals to PQ. So if TR equals to PQ, what is our TR? TR is 3,600. P is 40, Q is unknown. 40 multiplied by Q gives us 40Q. So you make Q the subject by dividing both sides by 40. So 3,600 divided by 40 equals to 40Q divided by 40. So Q is now the subject. So 3,600 divided by 40 is 90. So 90 cakes we are making. 90 cakes. 90 cakes, yes. Is it clear? All right. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Or should I explain it again? Is it clear? All right. Then we have, yeah, please. German broadband group urges the Vodafone Liberty deal to be stopped. Who's going to read for me? Okay, please read. Page 19, can you get it? Yeah, please read. Be fast about it, okay?
This is representing the German broadband providers as regulators to stop the takeover by Vodafone of Liberty Global's German operation. Saying the new firm will be too dominant.
Would be too dominant. That means they're going to take charge of the industry. In 2018, don't worry, thank you. In 2018, Vodafone agreed to pay $21.8 billion for Liberty Global. Argument against the takeover included that it would delay the work on building a nationwide fiber optic network and damage competition in the cable TV market. With reference to this, and with our knowledge of economics, we should analyze why government may want to control takeovers. The question is talking about, why do you think government wants to oversee takeover activity? What is takeover itself? When the business is buying over another business, when the firm is buying over the control of another firm. That is what the takeover is. That's the first one. Now, why would government want to take charge of this situation? Based on what we read, they said Vodafone will be too dominant. So, Liberty Global is also a cable, is part of the cable industry. But Vodafone is willing to pay such huge amounts to take global liberty. So if it takes global liberty, it means that Vodafone will be taking the industry as a whole. So Vodafone might become a monopoly in that country. Government would not want monopoly to take place, because when monopoly takes place, prices becomes exorbitant for customers. Customers will not be able to afford them, and they don't even have choices. So these are the reasons why government will take charge of such situation. So government might be willing to give global liberty whatever it needs to maintain its control, so that it becomes a competitor to Vodafone, not a collaboration with Vodafone. Because if global liberty is able to stay on its own, it means customers will have more choice to make in the cable industry. It's clear. Any question about it? We move on. Yeah, value-added tax, VAT. They said VAT is an indirect tax. And what is an indirect tax? An indirect tax is the taxes we pay on consumption. Taxes paid on what? Consumption is what we call an indirect tax. Example of an indirect tax is the value-added tax. That's about that. So they said the rate of VAT in South Africa was increased by 40% to 50%, just 1%. That's 1%, right? On 1st of April 2018, both consumer spending and business confidence fell following this increase, but the further rise in VAT is being discussed by government. VAT is not currently added to the price of the fruits, vegetables, and bread. With reference to the data, explain the usefulness of PED to this situation. The first thing we have to define is what? The price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in price. Now, VAT has increased in South Africa by 1%, and as a result, prices of goods and services has increased, except for fruit, bread, and vegetable. Is it clear? So after VAT in South Africa increased by 1% in 2018, many goods and services become more expensive, meaning that the demand for goods, we're talking about price elasticity now. If things become expensive, that means they will become price elastic. That means the demand for those products will be associated with the quantity with the price elasticity of demand. So that means the price elasticity of demand for these products will be greater than 1. Are you getting it? So here I wrote, after VAT in South Africa increased by 1% in 2018, many goods and services were more expensive, meaning that the demand for goods with elastic demand, PED greater than 1, would have fallen at a large percentage. So those goods that are price elastic, customers will stop buying them. So the demand for such goods will fall. So we will be able to know this. Government will be able to know when they use the formula of price elasticity of demand. That's the second usefulness of price elasticity. The first usefulness of price elasticity is the definition of price elasticity. The second one is what I just said now, that products that are price elastic, the demand will fall in the market. Government would know. So by the third one, by calculating PED, government will be able to see the likely effect on demand. So with the calculation of PED, we'll be able to know if it is giving a positive effect in the market or a negative one in the market. However, PED is only an estimate, which means the actual demand may not be the same. Price elasticity of demand is just an assumption of calculation. In real life, it might not be the same way. Do you get the point? Calculating price elasticity of demand, yes, you can calculate it, but it's an estimate. It's not, you can only estimate it. You can't quantify, you can't say the total number of people that buy the product, but you can have a view of the numbers, just like the total number of students in this school. Oh, they are around 400, they are around 500. You can't say, except when you start head counting. So price elasticity of demand is just an estimate. It might not be the actual level of demand. That's the point about PED. After that, I wrote again. No, PED may also help government to decide whether to increase VAT again or not. Here they said government is trying to increase VAT, yes or no? So with the calculation of PED, government might be able to decide either to increase VAT or not to increase VAT, because it would have shown in the revenue government is making. If businesses are complaining about it, then they should not increase the VAT. They should just leave it the way it is or reduce it. Is it clear? Yes. Any question about it?
No.
And that's the last thing.